was this close to getting it 100% correct. The Jets dropped their 53-man roster. Let's take a look at it and break it down.
Jets, 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 Jets!
All right, boys and girls, I'm excited to get into this. I was almost 100% correct on my 53-man roster prediction, and the only reason I didn't get it is because the 3 players that I had on my roster wound up getting factored out of the roster because of IR status and Haason Reddick not showing up. So let's take a look at it. We'll break it down for you. First off, 25 guys on the offense, 25 guys on the defense, 3 guys on the special teams. Obviously, Zuerlein, Morstead, Hennessy as the 3 special teams guys. The notes at the bottom there, Haason Reddick is a do not or did not report, so he doesn't count towards the active 53. And then Fotu, Travis, and Yeboah all hit the IR. Now, all of them could come back. None of them hit the season-long IR as far as I'm aware. Obviously, 2 quarterbacks, Aaron Rodgers, Tyrod Taylor. I did not think Martinez was going to be making the active 53. I do expect him to be on the practice squad. 4 running backs. I know there was a lot of divisiveness over Izzy Abanikanda. Is he going to get traded? That could still happen. There's still some opportunities here before the beginning part of the season. We'll see how that shakes out. But overall, I do like Izzy being the 4th back on this team. Receiver-wise, we wound up keeping 7. This was definitely more than I thought we were going to do. And honestly, this is an area that I could see us trying to upgrade from. Obviously, I did not have Brownlee on my list prior to this, so that's the one addition to the list here. We keep Irv Charles for special teams. Malachi Corley, obviously, a 3rd-round pick, kick returner, wide receiver, was going to make the team. Gibson, and then the starters ahead of him in Garrett Wilson, Mike Williams, and Alan Lazard. So overall, I like the top, I would say 3 wide receivers. Like, even though we don't love Lazard, I don't think he's going to be a focal point of the offense. I would like to look at some other names. Terrace Marshall is someone out there that I think we should be keeping an eye on, as well as a few others on the waiver wire. So let's keep an eye on what the wide receiver winds up going down as. Tight ends, we got 2, Conklin and Ruckert. Yeboah obviously hitting that IR, so he is not factored into the roster. We did cut Kuntz, and Firsker did not make the roster. Now, Firsker is a vested veteran, so in the event we did want to bring him in at some point, you could end up doing that. Tackle-wise, we got our 5 tackles, Tyron Smith, Morgan Moses, Olu Fashanu, and Carter Warren as the main tackles, and then you have Max Mitchell as a tackle/guard kind of hybrid. So you have a little bit of flexibility from that perspective. Guard-wise, AVT John Simpson as the starter, Xavier Newman, who really showed out this preseason. I'm really glad we decided to hold on to him, so he provides that little bit of extra depth on the interior part of the offensive line while also giving us a little bit of center flexibility. Now, he was like our 4th-string center last year. That's not exactly where I want to have him play, but as an interior offensive lineman, I don't mind this at all. Joe Tippmann, obviously the center, and then we've got Wes Schweitzer behind him as the backup center. As far as edges go, you guys know Haason Reddick did not have to be on the roster because he hasn't reported yet. So you got Jermaine Johnson and Michael Clemens, who figure to be your 2 starters right now. Will McDonald, Tack McKinley slotting in behind them on that next rotation of defensive linemen. And then you got McGregor and Watts making the team, and I absolutely love this, along with Leonard Taylor. These 3 undrafted, defensive linemen are just going to be studs, or at least they look like studs right now. And if they can wind up fitting on this roster moving forward, so that way you don't have to invest premium assets in a guy like Haason Reddick on a long-term contract, I think that's a home run for the New York Jets. Not to mention, you have that little bit of negotiating power. You see Haason Reddick posting all these workout videos, and I'm thinking he's feeling a little bit self-conscious, a little bit of a way, because this Jets defensive line is just stacking studs, and I love it. Obviously, Watts was the player that I did not have on my list that did get bumped up when Reddick wound up hitting the did not report status. Quinnen Williams, Javon Kinlaw make the most sense, obviously, as our starters. Solomon Thomas will be the next guy up, with Leonard Taylor right in line with him. As far as linebackers go, we wound up keeping 1 more than I had us doing. That was Chaz Surratt. Obviously, the team loves him. Robert Saleh really likes him. They're always singing his praise. I think if we do decide to make a few moves, I do think Surratt and Charles, maybe Brownlee, like those would be the 3 that I think are really on that bubble of us adding a player and then dropping one. So it's not fully done yet. But overall, I like the linebackers. I do think that I would have only kept 4 because I do expect us to use a lot of safety looks and not necessarily 3 linebacker looks. Like I see 3 safeties coming in with Ashton Davis coming into the box. As far as outside cornerbacks, Sauce, Reed was a lock, Stiggers, and JBC rounding out the outside corners. I really, really like what we got from our depth in the preseason. I'm excited to see what they have moving forward into the season. As far as slot cornerbacks, guess what? Michael Carter II still on this team. Michael Carter I, who got booted off the team last year, just got cut by the Cardinals. So we kept the right Michael Carter. Brandon Eccles slotted in behind him as the backup slot cornerback. Safety-wise, you got Chuck Clark, Isaiah Oliver, and Tony Adams and Ashton Davis to round out the safety room. And I love this. I'm pumped on this roster right now. We literally kept every player that we wanted to hold on to, or at least that I wanted to hold on to, with the additions of guys I also didn't want to let go. I didn't want to let go of Brownlee. I didn't want to let go of Watts. Didn't really want to let go of Surratt. So it's nice to kind of have those guys on the roster. And the benefit of keeping them right now is in a few days, if we want to add another player, you're going to have a little bit of an easier time stashing these guys on the practice squad because other teams have already started to work out how their rosters are going to look, and they may not have a spot for an Eric Watts, for a Chaz Surratt, for a Brownlee or an Irv Charles or something along those lines. So the Jets will be able, I think, to retain some of these players. So I'm really excited. I want to hear what you guys have to say as far as the 53-man roster goes. What do you think of it overall? Were there players that you didn't want to see go? We saw Codrington wind up getting traded for a late round pick to the Bills. I think that's probably the only name that really popped up consistently in my timeline as guys being maybe a little upset. Brandon Smith didn't make the roster. Does he wind up making it down to the practice squad? I hope that happens. Would love to see how this all shakes out. Let me know in the comment section down below. Hit a green heart if you made it this far in the video. And as always, go Jets.